What's your last name?
What's the second table he's talking about? Only 5 tables.
Okay, well, I got those. Okay, I got that.
Now, the first table is just Y and I
Okay.
from the constant table in 2,000 US dollars. So you just have, that's easy, table 1. Table 2 is the population from the population file. And I show you how to convert it from thousands to millions. Right? You just divide by 1,000. And it puts it to millions. So that's pretty easy. The third table is the transformations that you make on the first table.
Oh, okay.
So you said yt plus 1, and you can see what yt plus 1 is. When you look at y, you can see what yt plus 1 is. The sum of I is like what we did in the classroom last time. The sum of y is what we did in the classroom. And then you take the ratio of those two, that's the last column. So that's pretty straightforward. The next table, table 4, you have to get 3 different I-cores. One I-core from the longer period from 2000 to 2009, then 2 shorter periods, 2000 to 2004, and 2005 to 2009. So that means you got to change the regressions each time to get these different I-cores. Change the period of the data that's used in the regression. Anybody got any questions about that? And likewise, the I over Y parameters. Now you get those from the previous table, table 3. You find the lowest value in there. Then you look for the median, the one that's in between, in the middle. And you get the highest. You put those 3 like that.
Can you repeat that really quick? Sorry.
You pick them out of table 3. Take the lowest value, the median value, and the highest value.
From I or?
Sorry?
From I? From the I column?
From I over Y.
Okay.
Sum of I over Y. The third column, the last column. All right. So if you look at my numbers that I have here, I have 0.205677. You go to that column and you'll see it. The lowest value in that column. The way you do it easily is you just copy these out and sort them. And then you'll get the lowest, the highest, and the median value. And then you create three scenarios: a pessimistic scenario, a baseline scenario, and an optimistic scenario. Now in the pessimistic scenario, you get the highest I-core and the lowest I over Y, and you get the lowest growth rate. In the baseline scenario, you get the middle I-core, you get the middle I over Y, and you get that'll give you the middle growth rate. Right? In the optimistic scenario, you get the lowest I-core, right? And you can see these things are picked from the table right above, the I-cores, the I over Y. You just restore them like that. And you get the highest I over Y. So these are you just put together the top part of table 4 in order to get the bottom part of table 4. And then you project under these different growth rates of Y, and then you can also project Y over P. Now the historical period goes from 2000 to 2010, so there's no change in table 5. You see, that's historical. There's no change in the number. But after, from 2015 to 25, then you have three scenarios, scenario 1, scenario 2, scenario 3. Scenario 1 being the most pessimistic, scenario 3 being the most optimistic. And scenario 2, something in between. And after you project those, then you have this graph that is on the last page, and it shows you the 3 sets of projections. That is the way it's normally done. And when people make long-term projections, and I was, for the 30 years that we went, I was the chief of the long-term projection section on something else. You don't make a prediction, what you do, you predict 3 different scenarios. Baseline scenario and 2 extreme scenarios. And you would expect that the truth falls somewhere in between. Okay? So that's what I'm teaching you, how to do that. So that's due next week. But it's very easy if you follow the procedure here, and you have to produce with your projection each of these tables. Good. Yeah.
You want the regression
You don't have to bring in the regression, just these tables and the projection, just like I show you on these sheets. Okay. Now, what we have been working on is what we call the supply side of the economy. Production function represents the supply side of the economy. The macro economy. Right? Now, we also want to work on the demand side of the economy. The demand side of the economy consists of the demand components of the expenditure table. So on the demand side of the economy, we have as a national accounts identity, Y is C plus G plus I plus X plus 10. So we will start working on the demand side of the economy. Once we have the supply side of the economy, we get the Y. That's what we project. Y1, Y2, so on. Under 3 different scenarios. Some other 3 different scenarios. Right? Now we want to project these demand components, C and M. And we'll come back and get I. I we can get very easily from I over Y, so that's no problem. This is the problem over here, G. Because G is a political decision. So we have to make some assumptions about that political decision, how we're going to handle it. We'll do that a little later. That's really an exogenous variable in any economy, besides the government spending. In the United States, it's usually a negotiation between the administration and the Congress. The administration presents a budget, the Congress presents a counter budget, so on. They go back and forth until they finally get the final budget. But when we're doing it for the whole economy, it's got to also include the same negotiation state by state. So it's a pretty hard number to come up with. But we have some guidelines which will help us. So right now, we'll look at doing this, getting these 3, and then getting a demand equation for consumption and influence. Now, consumption function will use the consumption function based upon GDP. some models, you make the consumption function based upon disposable GDP, after-tax GDP. But we're not putting any taxes into this model. We could, but the effort that we have to go and get the tax for each of your countries, and that'll be hard for some of the countries, because you don't know what they are. The IMF had some rough estimates, but they're not very reliable. So we'll base the consumption function on total GDP, and it'll look something like this. So for each of these scenarios on GDP, you'll have 3 steps of consumption. And likewise for imports will have the same structure. So that'll be pretty easy. So I'm going to set up now my projection for the 3 scenarios on GDP, and then we'll estimate the consumption function for that, for those projections. Now I was working on Paraguay. So I'll have to get Paraguay back into the picture again.
Breaking down one more data. Let's see one more data that you want to
Where can we go with Paraguay?
I'm trying to look at the second part. I've got 3 issues done, so.
He's just setting up what we did last week. Comparatively.
So what's the main aggregate?
What?
It's under national accounts.
This is
National defense estimates will be 9 BTS.
you did, doesn't it?
GDP by capital
exact same thing that we always do.
Just said that, he's sending exactly the same thing as we did last time. He's gonna do that, he's gonna basically do the entire homework. Yeah, because he has to set up the projections and stuff.
So wait, he's showing us that this is.
Everything he's doing right now is exactly what you have to do.
Oh, that's awesome.
You should have it all the way up until this
I already,
point.
yeah, I'm up to the third sheet, but I have to do the I-part, so this is perfect. I'm on sheet 5.
Well, I know one final consumption.
The actual is just 1 divided by.
Yeah, I know, but what's the regression? The regression is, what's the y, and what's the dependent on?
What's the second regression?
Yeah, what's the actual regression?
Well, that'll be my base data on
The y range.
Paraguay.
is ln. It's, so the x range is year, and the y range is ln 1 minus y. Which one is that, though?
It's fantastic because it's not here. ln1 minus y, that's not in the list.
Here's my base data. I don't need the early year.
You have ry.
That's what I'm trying to see, where that came from.
Me too.
So this will be C. This will be G. So this is
Apparently. We did it.
the I is best rate.
What's this?
This is X for export. Keep it on.
Is it
Here? No.
M for
You don't have
import.
this. Oh.
And this is Y for G.
I. Yeah.
Now, so this would be over to the left.
So shouldn't be I over EI?
The first step will be to put the millions
Let's see, I don't watch it.
equal to divided by 1 million. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And drag it down. Copy this. Put it here. And paste with that. And then leave this on there.
Yeah. Well, we didn't have to do that. Yeah.
All right.
Do that again. It's actually wrong. So we'll do it.
Inside.
That guy is wrong because we're reading it from here, which is going to be I.
So this will be table 1. GDP by expenditure.
He said he just wanted to.
And this will be in billions. $2,005 to now, the first thing we'll do is get rid of the decimal places. save this. See that. I'm not gonna put it in 10. Put it in top. Right? And the file name will be Paraguay.
Should I use the matches?
We'll save it as Excel book. Now we have it in Excel workbook. I have to make a test to see if this adds up. If these data are correct, I'm going to take this, add it to this, and add it to that, and add it to that, subtract this, I should get that. Well, I can check that by setting up this error column that's equal to y minus c minus g minus I minus x plus n. It should be exactly the number that we get from GPY, from the GDP, but we're subtracting it from GDP, so it should be 0.
And it's not.
It's not exactly correct. So you see that we call this the discrepancy. Now, we have to get rid of the discrepancy before we can work with the data. And the normal place to put it is into consumption. So we're going to create a new consumption, C, and that's going to be equal
It's not
to
easy. It's teaching us how to
Parity
produce it.
plus old consumption fee. And Control Shift Enter. Drag that. And we'll copy these and put them over here. Paste back.
And now error is 0.
And you see what happens to the error thing. Zip. No more error.
That's how you
Data
balance your
fully
books.
consumed. All right? And now we can get rid of these.
So error is 0, then what's the error?
Sorry?
That's kind of
Error is 0, is the error.
There's no error. The data are perfect.
Illegitimate.
The national account's identity is satisfied. Now we'll take this to 2025.
I can't see what you're doing, and it's too bright. That's that much. It's broke. Is that I, or is that 1?
It's 1.
Oh, okay. I see what you did. it, before 10 plus 1 is a makes it a 2 months every 2 spots.
Should all of my C's be negative now? Pretty much how that came out.
It's completely fucked up, just so you know.
I did exactly what I told you.
The numbers are messed up.
So now we'll project y into scenario one.
We can.
So under my scenario one,
Oh, that's fantastic.
I have y is going to be equal to, the growth rate is going to be equal to 0.293237. All right?
Where did you put this at?
It's on the paper that I gave you. Equal 1.0293237. Times that.
Yeah, that number's nowhere on this piece of paper.
Yeah.
That number doesn't actually exist on this paper.
That was the pessimistic growth rate?
Yeah, scenario one.
We don't have that on our,
That's not on our thing. That number that you put up there doesn't exist on this paper.
What do you mean?
It's actually not on there. The 1 point nothing is on here.
The number of, if you look under the pessimistic scenario,
I core is 7.014021, I over y is 0.205677, and ry is 0.0293237.
that's the number,
So you went 1.029323. Thank you.
okay?
so you add the one in
Yeah,
there?
it's 1, because it's
Yeah.
growth.
But watch me do it again. It's equal
Huge.
1 point
I would ignore it.
Yeah, but look what happened.
0 2 3.37.
Wait, is that the I?
Times this number. And that's a guarantee that growth.
It's ry.
Control shift enter.
It's ry.
So pessimistic times y.
And then come down like that. Here is y under the pessimistic scenario.
They don't even.
And this should agree what I wrote before. If we look at
I'll figure it out.
on the sheet that I gave you, projection, well, I only show you y over p. This is y. The full one. Let me put the p's up here to go around the
Can you just do the first one again? You did something times the Y in 2010. What was that? Okay. Yeah.
So we add the one from the decimal place.
Yeah, that one. How'd you get it?
Yeah.
Give that
It's
one,
one
like, go
plus,
further.
yeah, plus the growth.
You
It's 100%
multiplied
growth.
1.029. Where'd
I
you
just
get
said figure out
that?
how the hell to find ry from my own.
That's on the paper that
I
I
forgot.
gave you.
Okay.
That's the first
But
growth rate. Who's that? 5,
okay, so forget it.
3, 0, 1, 0.
What's he doing right now?
Okay.
I'm putting the population.
Oh, okay. I was scared for
0, 1, 5. 2, 0, 2, 0.
ry equal
2, 0.
to, yeah, y.